Hello, I'm Anna from Certified American Grown, and today we are doing something a little bit different. Today we are meeting with an American Grown supporter from the design community for Flower Farm Fan Friday. Now, try to say that quickly a few times. And today my guest is Kelly Shore from Petals by the Shore and the Floral Source. Hi, Kelly. How are you?
Hello, Anna. I'm so happy to be here and to be here from Alaska,
It's an
which
incredible
isn't usually
vista.
where I am.
Yeah, yeah. You're there quite often. You love those farms up there.
I do. This is my fifth summer here, and it actually all started with Certified American Grown in 2017 for the Field of Ace dinner here at Scenic Place Guineas.
Yep. And then I think you've been back every year. And how many field of vase dinners have you done up in Alaska now?
I've done one. The second one was at Jocelyn Peeney's with Christy Lopez, and that was in 2019. And then hopefully we will have a third one here in the next few years with another designer. But it's always great just to see new farms, new designers, and be highlighting, the abundance that is, not only here in Alaska in the summer, but all across the US.
Yeah. I want to ask a little bit about how you got started in the design world, and how that's evolved throughout the years.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. So I started in 2000. So I am on my 21st year in the floral world. It started as just a part-time gig in undergrad at a local campus shop in Champaign, Illinois. And, it was something that I loved doing, but nothing that I saw a future with. And it took a lot of twists and turns in life and grad school and recessions for me to find my path here. And in 2011, I started Petals by the Shore in the Washington, D.C. area. And I just thought, I'll try this for a year. I gave myself a goal of 10 weddings, and I ended up doing 45. And from there, I just kept growing and growing and growing. But I think my favorite part of my journey is that I found deeper purpose. It wasn't just about the art. It wasn't just about the craft. It was about the relationships. And coming from a journalism background, that was really important to me. And meeting these farmers and just getting kind of an anthropological view into their world. And then learning how to share that with my design community and inspiring them to want to know more. So it's been hardcore to the ground with local and American grown farmers for the last, I would say, 7 years now.
Yeah, I think you made that shift when you did the Year of the Bouquet, right? The American
So
Grown
my first project
365.
it was sparked with meeting Deborah Prinzing of the Slow Flowers movement in New York City. And she was talking, actually, ironically, about that Alaskan farmers were growing peonies. We were all sitting there in New York City in like 2014, like peonies in Alaska, because we all know, buying Alaska and it's just super remote. And it really intrigued me. And I thought, I wonder what it would be like to design 1 year every season on one farm. And so I challenged myself and I worked with a local Maryland farm and I created with whatever they had every season. And it really taught me about seasonality and designing with what you had in your backyard at your local farms, and not being beholden to a Pinterest photo or to having our clients dictate who we are. And it really allowed me to branch out and explore more things than Macrophylla hydrangea, carnations, standard roses, callas. Those were like my main staples in designing, and I was bored, honestly.
Yeah. And then there's so much more variety out there.
There's
growing in
so
those
much
fields.
variety.
If you're willing to be a little bit more flexible in palettes and textures and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
it's amazing.
I am still on this journey and constantly in awe. Like just even walking around here, right behind me is a huge lilac tree. I mean, it's almost August. And in the lower 48, you don't have that, but it's just coming into bloom. And we got giant columbines, and there's wild lupin, and there's wild Chinese forget-me-nots, like just amazing things. And learning seasonality regionally has been one of my greatest passions over the last few years. And it's not, when designers ask me like, how do you shift into designing with local and American grown? And I'm like, it's really about connecting with your farmers, whether in your local community or in other regions that are shipping direct or selling to wholesalers.
Yeah.
Accessibility is a big thing in the local and American grown movement.
Yeah, and well, you're helping with that right now too, because you've got the Floral Source, right? You go out and you visit farms, you create curated boxes. Tell me a little bit more about how that got started and what you have to offer.
Well, as I've been saying lately, I was very naive when I started the Floral Source in October 2019. I really had an idea that I could bring the entire design community to all the American grown farms that, you know, sold to our big wholesalers or sold direct to designers. But the reality is all the farms can't handle every single designer coming. There's got to be a middleman. And COVID really taught me that. You know, when COVID happened, we were all sitting back and we were seeing, not only here in the US, but across the world, just the heaps of flowers being thrown away. And I think for any of us that love flowers and flower farmers, it just really hit to our core. And so I started to think, how can I help? And, you know, I think everybody was just trying to figure out something, one, just to bring us a sense of peace in such a tumultuous time. But I reached out to Paul at Pajarosa, which is one of your certified American grown farms. I said, hey, Paul, let's put a box together. Let's put a curated box. I'll tell you what to put in it. I'm going to create a video workshop and let's just get some flowers out, you know, to the people. It was about giving it to anybody. Yeah. Like people just needed joy and purpose in their home last year. And it was nothing I saw as a long-term business goal. It was something just momentarily, just to bring joy and to give, honestly, myself purpose too. Yeah. And I featured, I think, 11 farms, certified American grown farms last year, all the way from Fern Trust in Florida to Milanos and SoCal to Scenic Place Peonies up here in Alaska. And it was a really beautiful project. But then January hit, and I think, honestly, we all thought we were hitting restart. Yeah. Nope. And we realized that magic button was not here. And we started to see that things were postponing again. And so like the dread and that fear happened again. And I remember just sitting on my couch and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Am I a wedding florist? Am I an educator? Like, what am I? And honestly, it was the design community and the Floral Source that started to reach out and they said, hey, are you doing anything for Valentine's Day? We'd really love to get American grown flowers. And ironically enough, it was the farmer florist, the small family farms around the US that said, we'd love to remain true to our ethos and be able to source American grown flowers when our flowers aren't on crop and still get beautiful, fresh flowers out to our community. Yeah. And because, I mean, I think there was an article that just came out that as the world turned upside down and it disrupted the international floral trade, the local flower farms were flourishing beyond belief. Yeah. I don't think there's one family farm that I talked to on a small scale that was not selling out every week. Yeah. Our communities wanted fresh flowers in their home, and we developed more of a European mindset that flowers weren't just for birthdays, funerals, graduation, but they were every day. Yeah, and it's a great trend, right? I mean, I buy, every time I go in the grocery store, I pick up some flowers just because I want them around. They make me happier to have them there. So we really, there was that hashtag going around last year that was the power of flowers. And I don't think that could have been more true, especially last year, that flowers brought joy. Flowers brought healing in our homes, when we were trapped there. So so I started in January and slowly just shifted into becoming a drop ship wholesaler. And now I'm doing it full time. And it's nothing I ever imagined I'd be doing. And I couldn't be happier to be a voice out there for our farms, for our designers also, who don't always feel that they have a voice among the growing community, and just building that bridge and that understanding between one another. And just really, it's about creating accessibility. Yeah. Because as hard as our wholesalers do work, to bring in American grown, there is a price difference. And, you know, everybody's still trying to come back from last year's financial hits.
Yes.
And, you know, even though American grown is more expensive, those that find the value in having the freshest flowers that come from our economy, that's important to them. And so they're going to pay a higher, you know, dollar for it. And, you know, the one thing that they're saying over and over as they get these farm fresh flowers that are coming direct from the farms, I never touch them, is how long they last, and that it's quality that they've never seen, because those flowers are harvested within days before they get them. And before, you know, it's possibly a week old by the time they get it. So it's a very different way to source, and it's changing minds. It's changing.
We're seeing the momentum on that front. I think people are more aware.
It's really catching on
of what's local, and you're a great educator and an ambassador to our farms and to our designers alike. We're running out of time here, so I'm going to wrap up maybe with one more question.
Sure.
Let's see, I've got two in mind. I've got either what's your favorite part of floral industry, being in the floral industry, or what motivates you to be so involved with American grown?
I'll go with what motivates me. And honestly, it's the humans behind the flowers.
Yeah.
There's beautiful flowers all over the world. American grown flowers, for me, it's about the people that I've met through your organization. It's about being on Capitol Hill with y'all and hearing their stories for the last 4 years that has truly changed me. And I have faces to the flowers. And that's what I try to do on the Floral Source is connect those flowers with those faces, that, you know, that there's people behind it. And there's people behind every flower in the world.
Yes.
But we are a very global market, and having connections to those that create our products, whether it's clothes or food or flowers, it's a very sterile transaction. And to make this a very personal transaction, where you have more purpose in how you're buying, and to give the designers that power to make that choice, is really important to me.
It is. All right. Well, thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much for joining us. And
thank you for having me, Anna.
We'll put a link in there so anybody who's watching this can go over and see what Kelly's doing over at the Floral Source, and
follow along. I got a few more days here in Alaska.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Anna.